Hey everyone, welcome to a new episode of the You Got the Ron Dude podcast. I'm your host, Ron Jammin. Thank you very much for tuning in. Well, guess what? I'm back again. Chapter 2. John Wick! So this episode, all about John Wick Chapter 2, my review of it. Again, late to the game. This came out 2017. And this review does contain spoilers, of course, but my notes are all over the place, and I really like this movie. I thought it was a very strong sequel. The first two acts, well, most of the movie is like a perfect sequel, and I'll get into why. But like this episode up, share, follow, subscribe, comment. I'd love to hear from you, all that fun stuff. But like I said, my notes are all scattered in that. But this movie, now I just watched part 3 right after watching part 2 yesterday. And I wish I hadn't, because 3 is fresh in my mind. And I was worried because I looked over my notes again for 2. Because, sometimes you write so fast in that, it's like chicken scratch. But we're good. But 3, and then after I record 2 and 3 reviews, I'm going to watch 4. So let's start with, this doesn't ruin anything, doesn't take away points, no continuity or issue or anything, but before the house gets blown up, John's house, by Santino. Now it seems like that his dog was outside. But still, you think that you would have heard it bark, kind of as a warning. But John has had that dog for a very short period of time, so hasn't had a lot of time to train it in that. One thing I like about this, the cliffhanger ending. Because remember, in my review for 1, I thought that bike chase at the beginning of 2, the beginning of this one, was a cliffhanger for 1. But instead it was just him walking his dog, and it's kind of like, oh, that's underwhelming. Whereas this one at the end, and again, spoilers, but the open contract on John, like, that's a great cliffhanger. And it's like, well, we got to make a third at least. One of the things, really clever filmmaking, you see something, you're like, oh, I don't think I've ever seen anything like that before. Or doesn't remind you of anything. When he meets with Winston at the park, the courtyard area, and whatever move he does signals all the people to stop. You're like, oh my gosh. Like, that was really clever. And then whatever move he does to signal them to continue on. Ruby Rose and Common, perfect casting. I know Ruby, I think she had some kind of controversy over the years. I don't remember exactly what. But this year that John Wick 2 came out, she also did XXX State of the Union. Or no, not State of the Union. Return of Xander Cage. And I like her. She doesn't get a lot of screen time in this one, but she does a great job. And I really liked her in the XXX 3, Return of Xander Cage. And Common, I mean, everything I've seen him in, he's been great. All the way back to Smokin' Aces, American Gangster. And I think this is his best role that I've seen so far. He plays Cassian, she plays, Ares? Something like that. With cinematography, moving the camera a bit during the action sequences. Fight scenes, gunplay, and all that. And I talked about this in the first episode, the first review, rather. And I said one of the things I liked is that they're not shaking, the camera or anything for action to make it seem more intense. Whereas in this one, there was a little more play with the camera, but not like shaky cam level. Like the Bourne movies, Like the story's great, but the action, it's hard to tell who's hitting who in that because you're moving the camera so much, all these different cuts. But here it works, but I just didn't think it was necessary. Obviously, John has some history in Rome, beautiful location. And one of the things I praise these movies on so far, because like I said, I've seen part 3 now, is all the different locations, the different sets. Great variety. It keeps everything fresh. Because you look at, the Farrelly brothers, in the 90s, 2000s and that, it's like I believe all their movies involve a road trip. Good way to introduce, characters along the way and just have different settings so you don't get bored, don't get stale. And I like that with Santino, he says, even if you kill me, it's like the contract doesn't end. The big action finale, the museum, and then that whole mirror area, that was very clever. Kept you guessing. And just another note, this doesn't take away from anything, but kind of like James Bond, we see him drink, alcohol, consume that. But with John, it's like, dude, what are you eating? You recover from everything so easily. Because we don't know, when you get stabbed and patched up in that, we don't know the time frame exactly, but, in the beginning, which I should touch on more, when he gets his car back in that, the action is superb. Everything with the vehicles and getting hit by the car and then just getting up, and I'm like, because he's not and this is nothing against Keanu, this character is very tall and slender in that, but it's like, your recovery is incredible. What are you eating? Are you taking supplements? Working out? But again, I wouldn't take away points from that. I like that they set up the high table. I wrote high roller for, I'm pretty sure it's in 4. Because in the last last episode, I talked about watching the fight scenes on YouTube. No context or anything. And in 4, I'm like, well, in this one, he mentions, Chinese, Russian. I'm like, oh, that has to be Donnie Yen, Scott Adkins' characters in 4. And I watched 3. That didn't happen in that because it would have been a 5-hour movie. They combined 3 and 4. So the high table, I like that they set it up in this one. It's very clever. And I said in the review for the first movie, I like they didn't try to branch off, didn't get confusing or anything. It was more like, well, this is his mission, his choice. He's not really coming out of retirement per se. He's not going back in, to do contract work. It's more like, well, I just need help finding these guys and stuff. But the high table stuff, I can't wait to see all that. But kudos to them, because in this one, they set it up, but it doesn't get too complex. When he goes to Rome to kill Santino's sister, Gianna, when she's in that room, I don't know what they call it exactly, but, when she goes, with the big bath set up in that kind of fountain thing, I had no idea what was going to happen. Because the fact that he didn't kill her right away means that he wanted to talk to her, or he felt bad. Because it's like, well, what did she do wrong? She's getting a seat at the high table. And her brother wants it. But I was like, no, he's going to work with her. They're going to fake her death. But when she cut her wrists, I was like, oh my God, I did not see that coming at all. And just the fact that she says, she lived her life the way she wanted to. And it's going to end, on her decision in that. And then him shooting her in the head, I guess that was just in case there was a part of her, still active in that. So when they found her, they're like, Jesus, John, you shot her in the head and cut her wrists? But I can't think of the last time I've seen that in a movie. Because, cutting wrists in that, Um, but again, I didn't see it coming. I thought they were going to work together and be like, well, I need to get you out. You didn't do anything wrong, but you can't be on the high table because, your brother wants you dead. But, whew, that was very, very well done scene. And like I said, all the shots in Rome are really well done. Is it Bowery King? Lawrence Fishburne. John Wick as I live and breathe. Great casting, of course. Nice to see Fishburne. Because, he and Keanu worked together in the Matrix movies. And the third one, Keanu, like, what do we need? Guns. Lots of guns. I like that. This one, they don't nod to the Matrix or anything, as I remember. Because it's like, well, you don't want to poke fun at them because they weren't comedy movies. But also, like, I don't know if we should do any references, any quotes from the movies. But these are very different characters. And I wrote this down before watching the third one because I didn't know if he was going to help him move around underground once the contract was active or before. Because an hour, it's like, well, thank you, but I'm limping, I'm on foot, I got my dog, and excommunicado. And one thing I would have changed as far as pacing, Sharon, the guy at the hotel, when he shows up at the house, I would have spread that out, have another scene in between that, because John checks out and then he's back at his house and then the hotel guy's right there already. But, and then of course when he meets Winston, because at first I was like, oh, that's the same setup as Perkins, her death. So I was like, well, I know they're not going to kill John unless 3 is a prequel. But you're like, oh no. Because when you're surrounded, they're all going to shoot and hopefully not hit each other. But that was very well done. And him giving him an hour, it's kind of like, you're lucky to get that, and I'm going to be in trouble. But I really like the plot, because everything makes sense, and it's like nothing's convenient. Like, oh, well, John, we need you back. Why? Because the turnover rate's high. We hiring on a lot of people and they're not working out. And oh, could you just do this job in Rome for us? Oh, no problem. No, everything is about consequence in that, and rules and consequences. So it didn't feel like, oh, okay, he's back and it's his choice. No, he wants out. You look what he sacrificed in the beginning. I can't do it. No, I'm not that guy anymore. And so plot, I give it 5 out of 5 because the best intro so far. I love everything with Santino, everything in Rome, and the cliffhanger ending. And again, Ruby and Common shine in their roles, so shout out to them. And pacing, just that one scene at the end. So I'll give it a 4.5 out of 5 for pacing. And casting, again, everybody shines. And the cinematography, very beautiful. In the beginning, I like all those shots. They're on top of a skyscraper, I believe. And some of the shots really stand out. And the chase at the beginning was very well shot. I wouldn't be surprised if Chad Stahelski directs a Fast and Furious movie one day. Probably a spin-off, because I think Lewis is still directing 11, if that ever happens. But the cinematography, moving the camera during the action just wasn't necessary. So cinematography, I'm going to give it 4.5 out of 5. unfortunately, nothing really stood out. There's nothing I went to YouTube to watch on its own. And as far as, rewatchability, I don't know if I'll ever see this one again. As good as it is, it's kind of hard to explain. Some movies, they do really well, high praise, and it's just nothing that I'd take away from it, like take out of it and watch on its own. But that's nothing against the movie. It's really intense, really thrilling. And even like I mentioned the Jason Bourne movies in the last one. Those I've seen numerous times each. But I don't know, it's really hard to explain. It's just some movies have that, kind of like I like how J.J. Abrams moves the camera, keeps it compelling in that. And it just feels like more of a blockbuster experience. Like a theatrical, and just something about the editing in that. Whereas these movies so far, they have a style, like John Wick is kind of like another, not the same story, but a James Bond in that. The way they're shot in that, like Mission Impossible. But some movies, it's like, no, it was great. It was intense, and this character arc hasn't run its course, obviously. I just watched 3. But anyways, I liked all the locations and great action. The fights with Common were really well done. And that guy can move. And same with Ruby Rose. Just like Adrian's character in the first one, Perkins, I would have saved Ruby's character for the third one. Because she has a very strong presence. Very great actress. So, I still want to see him fight at the end of this one, but maybe he, cuts her, says, "Consider this professional courtesy. I'll see you around." And then we're like, oh, he let her live, okay. Because just like with Cassian, it's like, well, he didn't shoot them in the head or anything. He stabbed them, left them for dead, and that was it. But the first John Wick I gave a 6.5. This one I'm going to give a 7.5. Because I think it's one of the best sequels ever. Very strong installment. And to compare this to the Taken movies again, like I did in the last episode. Geez, how many times am I going to say that? Taken 2 was about consequence, revenge on the other side. And that's why that movie worked, but it didn't hit the same for some reason. Whereas this, there was just more like, well, here's your marker, we set up the high table, open contract at the end, and it's just more and more thrilling. It doesn't like wrap up in a nice pretty bow at the end. But anyways, thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed my review of John Wick Chapter 2. And up next I'll be reviewing Part 3, and then I'll be watching 4. Oh, and then Ballerina, which I've heard mixed things about, But anyways, like, subscribe, share, follow, all that fun stuff. Leave a comment. I'd love to hear from you. And you can stream this episode for free, obviously you already are, on YouTube and on SoundCloud, where you can also download the episode for free. So I will see you next time. And dang it. You know what I should do is write down a quote to end it on. You're asking me if I'll be back. Well, I just watched Chapter 3. So yeah, I'm guessing I'll be back. See you next time.